Maybach music.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, September 28th. As I was laying and preparing to get up out of the bed, actually I slept on the couch tonight to go work out or to go to the gym because I'm preparing for a race. I was thinking that since I like to write a whole lot, how about I do something that's different? Instead of writing, talk about it, blog about it, share how I really feel about it so that people would actually get a deeper understanding of where I feel. Not only am I going to continue to write, I'm going to also try something new and try to offer a little feedback and commentary in spoken and live words. There's so much going on, and today I'm just going to specifically focus on a few things. First, I'm sure you've already heard Bishop Eddie Long. I think we're all beating a dead horse because if you heard his comment to his congregation on Sunday, if you were like me, you left with more questions than answers, and I think we were all expecting just a little bit more that we didn't get. We was expecting Bishop to provide a little bit more feedback and a little bit more detail as to where he actually stood, opposed to an ambiguous response to the media and to the congregants. I was watching a video, Cadillac Kimberly on just yesterday.
Mercy Jesus, what's going on? Lord, my assistant got the computer all up and talking about everybody's going crazy. There's total mayhem everywhere. They acting crazy at New Birth because Eddie Long has allegations against him for homosexual relationships with the men in the church.
And she was hilarious. If you haven't seen that, I would encourage you to go check that one out. But I wanted to talk about the black church just for a little bit. I didn't want to focus on more of Bishop Eddie Long. I wanted to focus more on the black church and how we as a church are moving forward. I was watching CNN on yesterday, and I saw once ousted Carlton Pearson on before I was getting ready to go to work, and he was talking about how in the black community we have, and not just only in the black community, in all kinds of community, in the religious community, we have ex people who have had shortcomings. We have disassociated and distanced ourselves from people who need grace and God the most, and that's a dangerous thing. But I do believe that there's restoration. I do believe that the same grace that I go to God for is the same grace that Bishop Eddie Long goes to God for, and everyone else do. But one thing is the act of inclusion.
Is our churches, Kira, are filled with same-gender loving people, from the music department to the pulpits. Black music, church music, where would it be without our same-gender loving or gay musicians and singers? Not all of them are.
But many have come to you and said, I'm gay, but I can't come out.
Yes. Oh,
and we're talking very powerful people within the gospel industry.
Yes,
I've met them.
Yes, ma'am. With tears in their eyes, they were afraid. There are people who come to me and say, I embrace your gospel of inclusion, Bishop, but I can't. It's not a theological issue with me. It's a business decision. I'll lose my flock. I'll use my money. I'll lose my parsons. I'll lose myself. I can't love everybody. I can't even love me, he would say.
We segregate and we put homosexuality as the world's greatest sin, or we place or we begin to pinpoint and specify sins, any sin, and which distance and make people feel as if God is this angry monster who is unloving and who's unjust and who won't forgive you. And I think as a black church and as a black community, we do a disservice to people who need God the most.
It's like the Christian church is having to confront its issues. It's platonic, plastic, superficial portrayals of an angry God, a vicious God, an eternal place where everybody's going to burn, and this God with this terrible anger management problem who's going to get you, and then he's going to turn you over to the devil who's going to accuse you to him. And it's fairy tale stuff. But we bought into it, and now we're having to face the fact that maybe we missed it on many of these issues.
instead of loving and encouraging and embracing them, sometimes we begin to separate ourselves, or we begin to draw back or push back or talk about, and that doesn't quite help the cause. Because when I read my scriptures, I'm reminded of a God who's loving, who will forgive me, who will, if I fall short, no matter pastor or a pew member, he's going to forgive. He's a graceful God. And he's a God who will give you more than just a second chance, but a God who will provide opportunities for you to correct the wrongs many times. And how often how often we're quick to forget about that. But how about if the black church would begin to love and encourage and embrace and accept people for who they are? And know that, it's not us who do the changing, it's God who does the changing. If there is to be a change. Because sometimes, I'm reminded of Paul, and I'm not going to go into a sermon, but Paul had a thorn in his flesh, but it wasn't removed from his flesh. He took him, he was in the situation he was in because the scripture said that his weakness was made perfect, or however the scripture goes. I should have researched that before speaking about it. But he was saying, I'm going to show you even in your weakness that, although I'm not going to remove it from your flesh, I'm going to show you that my grace is sufficient. So if we would be reminded of that in the black church, that would really help us out a whole lot. And also, if Bishop Eddie Long does admit that he did the things that he was charged, how, as a church, do we move forward? How do we begin to repair and restore him? Do he continue to serve in the capacity that he's in, or do we oust him and do we shun him? Or do we show him, hey, let's sit you down for maybe 6 months and until you get it right, and then we'll welcome you back with open arms? Or do we say, you've fallen, and it's the end of your not career, but it's the end of you being able to minister and breathe life into things that are not living? So this is something to think about. But moving on, besides Bishop Eddie Long, so much else that's happening in the world around us that it's just beyond Bishop Eddie Long. I was watching TV on Sunday night, and I'm not a big TV watcher if it's not something dealing with politics. But I was watching this TV show called Snapped. All of my friends have talked about it. They have, encouraged me to watch it, and I just didn't have time to watch something that I thought was foolish. But looking at it, it's not really foolish. It's a really good TV show. And Snapped, it boggled me. Like I was like flabbergasted, because I did not believe that people actually kill folks. Like, you read TV stories and news articles about people actually committing these murders and these heinous crimes, but for it to be like right here in your face, I was like, dang, this really does exist. So I was by the way, to put a little for a side note, I'm single, and I've been single now for almost 2 years. I came out of a 2-year relationship. But Snapped, if you haven't seen it, it's a TV show where people who have murdered their ex or their significant other come on and tell their side of the story of how they snapped, or how they lost control, or if they plead insanity, or whatever the case may be. So I was watching this one particular episode, and this woman said she strangled, her husband was strangling her with the cord, and so she had to grab a knife and do all these things. I was thinking to myself, I said, if I do ever get in a relationship and you want out, don't kill me. I will be happy to go and rent a U-Haul. I'll go get a truck. I'll help you relocate and move. If we're living together, I'll help you move out, because I love my life. It's a little bit too precious for me right now. I enjoy doing the things that I do right now, and trying to establish my career and the like. So, if we get together, whoever you are, don't kill me. That's not how I want to go out. I don't want a knife in my chest or in my throat or in my neck. I want to be able to die peacefully in my sleep, hopefully, or something that's less traumatic. If you know me, you'll know that I love politics. I'm like this big political person, and I volunteered for President Obama's campaign when I was in college, and immediately after college. I think I had graduated by then. Yeah, I finished with undergrad then, and I was working on the master's. But if you know me, you'll know that I am a very, very political person. And this upcoming Friday, President Obama's chief of staff is going to have some big news for us, and everybody on Capitol Hill is not really excited, but they are awaiting the news. Chief of Staff Ralph Emanuel, if I'm pronouncing his name right, who I would not necessarily say that I'm too fond of, is going to announce whether or not if he's going to establish an exploratory committee to see if he's going to run for the mayor of Chicago. So that's welcoming news for me. Let's just leave it at that. That's welcoming news for me, because I think we need a chief of staff who is going to definitely agree and disagree with the president, but who's also going to be in a position to help the country move forward. I think it's hard enough reading the unemployment rates on yesterday, and it was just like almost like shattering, because I recall when I was in undergrad finishing my degree, and even before then going into leaving high school, transitioning into college, college counselors, high school counselors, college admission recruiters, they promised us a dream. They said what awaits you is going to be this big job that's going to be making $60,000, $70,000+ a year. And at the time, an 18, 17-year-old person who's listening to, wow, I'm making no money to go into 60, 70,000 because I came from a humble family, and to know that, wow, I can have the potential upon graduating, didn't say how long after graduating, just said once you get the degree, you'll be able to, then they didn't include that Sally Mae and the student loan people will be giving you a call in between to repay the debt that you borrowed. But it's kind of scary right now, needless to say. And the economists have predicted that by next year, I'm reading an article on HuffingtonPost.com, that the unemployment rate is going to spike above 10.1%. We've been there before, most recently, and it's been in the double digits, and they've said that jobs is going to be the last to recover. They just announced last week or 2 weeks ago that we are finally out of the recession, but we still have work to do. And looking back on the campaign, I think we all expected a little bit too much out of our current president and out of the current administration. We expected things to just automatically and drastically improve overnight, and to know that I wouldn't say that it's not improving, because I'm thoroughly convinced that had we not had the bailouts and had we not let the government take over a lot of these industries temporarily, short term, then we would have been in a worse case, that we would have been worse off than where we are now. So I think that this administration has done a great job in helping us move forward. There's no doubt in my mind that President Obama and his administration, but it's going rather slow and at snail's pace. So when we don't see things happen in the flash of an eye, it then becomes dismal and disencouraging. However, I just want to caution everybody, give the President Obama a little bit more time. He needs the time to help our economy get back and help people get back to work. I am, like I said, I'm about to get ready to go running. I'm excited about this upcoming event that I'm having. I believe in health, in my health. So I'm gonna go and running because I need to. It's like early in the morning. But I'm gonna try to do more video blogging, because it's a way to be able to provide some kind of sound to my writing. So I want to encourage you to follow me. I'll have all the links coming up, because I don't even know what I'm going to title all this stuff. But this is blog number 1. All right, I'm out.